M1 Pro and M1 Max MacBooks are here ready for ordering. So they're impressive specs. No more touch bar. We've got MagSafe is back. They have more ports. OMG, yay. But all of that is great. What does it mean for you as a streamer and a video creator? That is what we are going to dive into in this recap of Apple's new announcements. And of course, I brought on my great friend, Doc Rock, to help break it all down for you. Doc, welcome.
Aloha. Let's get it. Let's get it. We
all
should
right.
waste very little time. We should dive in. But
now, before you dive in,
yeah,
I just want to make sure that 100% people understand that this is a focus on video and streaming creators. So if you're looking for a general overview and all of the, HomePod and the AirPods and all of that stuff, go watch Renee Ritchie's
channel.
Exactly. He'll have everything. We were on the same page there. Yep. Oh. Boom.
There you go. That's Renee's job. Go see your favorite Canuck and then find out for yourself.
Exactly. But so coming from a streamer perspective, there are two big questions we want to answer right off the bat, and 100%. Then we'll get into all of the details. First, should you upgrade?
I was going to answer the other one first.
Oh, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Will it run on Ecamm? Well, Ecamm run on it.
Yes.
Duh. Yeah, okay. Now we can do the other question, because let's get that out of the way.
Just get it out of the way.
Ecamm runs on everything Mac, even all the way back to like 2011 Airs, which you shouldn't, but it runs on there.
Yeah.
So you do not have to ask that question. Sammy, I'm looking at you. You do not have to ask that question. Captain Obvious, yes. Now, should you upgrade? Yes. But do you need to? No. Should you, if Apple put out a new computer every 3 weeks, should you upgrade? Yes. Why? I mean, think about it. No, and I said this about the Sony camera, say this about a Canon camera, I'll say this about your car. They're making it better. Mm-hmm. Rarely, if ever, do they go backwards. There has been occasional slips, but in, let's just say 96.8%.
You mean slips like removing ports?
No, like going back.
Just joking.
No, and I'm super not on that removing ports whining. I'll talk about that. Removing ports whining goes right there with the notch whining that we're going to get. And
okay, we're going to talk about the notch for sure.
But so here's the thing, like, the manufacturers are working really hard. They take your input. They see what's going on in the market. They talk to lots of people. I don't know whether you know it or not, because it pisses you off. Not you, Luria, but
I know what you mean.
In general. They didn't add the ability to Bluetooth control your microwave. They literally spend millions. And I don't mean one or two. They spend $20-30 million in market research to come out to what they should do, when, where, and why. So it has happened. The knowledge has been there. And what tends to happen, we're in a particular space, okay? Our space is creators, live or recorded. So they'll make adjustments for the muggles, and then we'll be pissed. But the muggles outrank us like by 90%. We're like 10% of the population. Yeah. So you got to understand, when they're making these changes, they have to do things toward the muggles, right? And when the M1 regulars came out and the 13-inch regulars came out, those were the muggles.
Right.
This is the Pro event. This is done today is for us, right?
Yeah.
So now, if they did something that you don't like, you got a little bit of right to be pissed. But reality, you don't, because unless you're going to build your own computer, you're stuck with what's out there.
So,
you know what I'm saying? People in Colorado can't be mad because it snows. You live in Colorado.
Right, absolutely. Well, I think it's really, really important. Everybody gets hung up on the excitement. Somebody asked, how can I be so freaking excited and bubbly? Welcome to me. But, we all do. We get very excited about new updates and everything, and people tend to just be like, oh, well, I have to upgrade because everybody else is. And I think it's really important to, take a step back and be aware that, yes, it's better technology, it's better for future proofing, yes, all of that. But is it necessary for you where you are right now with what you have currently and what you're trying to accomplish in the streaming and video space. So you need to take this with a personalized approach so that you are answering
100%.
the question for you.
And it's funny because I'm always say still the answer is yes, but the problem is then people start feeling some type of way because they can't, and that's not part of the equation.
Exactly.
That's a different calculation. That is a completely different calculation.
1,000.
But yeah, I mean, if you have limitless pockets or limitless time, those are your choices. Right? Limitless time means I'm going to run with what I got because this is what I can afford. But limitless pockets means I'm going to just replace everything all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I will say for you business-oriented folks, and this is for those that are business-oriented, set yourself up to know that no matter what happens, you're changing that computer every 2 years, no matter what. Once you get on that path, you never sweat these type of events. Right. Because you know exactly when your 24-month time is up, and then you sell it. You copy everything over, which is super simple to do nowadays, and then you never, ever, ever have to think. You just leave yourself purpose-driven to swap computers every 2 years on the mark.
All right, so let's break down the specs, and then we'll continue to answer this question of should you upgrade as a streamer, right? We'll dive into some of the details of answering those questions so that you can make a more intelligent decision for you. So, Doc, do you want to break down the specs just, or do you have that in front of you?
I just wrote. If you see my notes
I have the notes here as well. I was just passing it on to you if you want to do it or you want me to.
Wait, no, it's super funny because I did it. Okay, I don't know if you know this on iPad, people, you can do what's known as a quick note, right?
Yeah.
So you just grab your thing from the corner with your finger or the pencil and you just pull in and you go to town on it. So I want you to see this mess on my notes.
Nice. Mine looks a little better than that.
I wrote it with gigantic pink chalk because I was doing something. So, two things to know right away. I just want to get these two out of the way before people start asking. 14 or 16.
Yeah.
Depends. Do you want 2 monitors or 3 monitors? If you want 3 monitors, you only get 16. Actually, I take that back. I pull it back again. It's 3 monitors is max, and 14s do have max. And 2 monitors is Pro. So that's the primary difference between the Mac and the Max and the Pro. The 14-16 difference is going to be battery and speaker. Other than that, they're kind of sort of the same, right?
And real estate, right? Screen real estate is important because
it's real estate. Yeah. So I've always been a dual monitor person. So if I skip things about the screen, ignore me.
But Doc, if you're traveling like on a plane or in a hotel room,
monitor.
I'm not taking a monitor, right? So like that's important to me.
As everybody that came to POV, the monitor's in the suitcase too.
I actually do have a little portable second monitor, but I rarely use it, so I like that extra screen real estate.
This 24-inch Dell that's hanging above my head, like weighs about 9 ounces and it's about this flat, so it fits perfectly into.
There you go.
A thing. Now, here's the other thing that's funny about it. I'm not even worried about killing it because it's a 24-inch flat screen Dell, which you can find at companies changing computer sales for like $20. I think I paid $20 for this monitor, but that's what you take because it's, anyway. Andy Cine and Acer, a whole bunch of people have really dope flat portable monitors for like $200. So yes, I still rock a portable monitor anyway because I have to have 2. And I have my iPad, so I technically have 3 when I'm on the road. The big thing is the thermals are going to make the difference for us people. So you're going to be, the main one is that weight though. The 14-inch is 4.7 pounds and the 16-inch, the 16-inch is 4.7 pounds and the 14-inch is like 3.5 or 3.6.
3.5, yeah, I think.
So all you road warriors who were complaining last year that I need a notebook because I need to be portable, welcome to the world, fam, because I'm going to tell you right now, my Mac Mini and my monitor are half the weight of the 14-inch. The Mac Mini weighs a pound.
I know, it's ridiculous. Like you could just take a monitor and a Mac Mini at this point, right? But we are looking at the Mac Mini still being the M1, and then we've got the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. I think we should break down what those
for
two
streamers
the
that don't
differences.
mean jack. For streamers, straight up, if you're streaming what we're streaming right
Yeah.
now, and I will use you and I as the level because I think we're similarly the most level-headed when it comes to our streams.
Yeah.
Right? We have 1 to 2 cameras,
Right.
simple but elegant overlays. We are a buttery Chardonnay. Some of you guys are making freaking, I don't know,
Stuff
just-
like this, right?
but that's nothing. Like, see, this kind of stuff, this kind of stuff is nothing. This is simple. Some of you guys with the full-on twirling animations, bouncing explosions, all of the other unnecessary stuff that, whatever, like, yeah, you're gonna probably need a higher processor.
You
But
mean
for what-
you mean like my bats?
No, that's nothing. That's still nothing. That's not. Yeah, yeah. It's funny because it's hard to describe it because those are flat, right?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
See, I understand the technical side. I don't want to scare people, but Gloria's not killing a standard M1 with
Right.
her stream, and her stream is kind of at the top of what medium advanced beginners and like whatever are doing. But when you're trying to do like, I'm going to have 5 guests plus a bunch of things twirling and a bunch of fades and movies playing and all of that, okay, yeah, you probably want a Pro or a Max, right?
And
But with this
as
stream
Paul is
now,
pointing
we're
out,
not killing it.
I am still on an Intel Mac. I'm on the last version of the Intel Mac, right? So this is an iMac, and I'm not even using the M1 yet. I will be.
Most of the time, I stream off my Intel iMac too.
Yeah.
But yo, this sucker's about to be on Facebook Marketplace today.
But that,
fam.
but that is really important to pay attention to, right? How much are you asking your computer and Ecamm to do? How much power do you need? Also, a really important question is it a dedicated machine or are you using it for everything else under the sun? I like dedicated machines. That way I don't need as much power, right? I don't need to go all maxed out if I'm not trying to use my computer for everything else that I do on a daily basis. And everybody who knows me knows how hard I am on my Macs from a daily usage perspective. So I don't want to combine those two things. But if I were to combine those two things and have those two separate or this one computer for everything, then I want a whole lot more, from a guts perspective, so that I can continue my habits that are bad and have everything downloaded under the sun, right? So those are really important questions to ask yourself. So in terms of the Pro versus the Max, we're looking at Pro has 32 gigs of memory, right? 10 core CPU and a 16 core GPU. And then the Max has 64 gigs of memory, 10 core GPU, same, and then 32 core GPU. So when it comes to the graphics processing unit, the GPU, that's kind of where a lot of this heavy stuff comes from the streaming perspective.
Correct.
So you want to break that down?
Well, yes and no. Depending on who's your streaming software. If you're an Ecamm Live user, we don't really tank the GPU like that,
Right.
Because we realize a lot of people don't have GPUs. So Ken and Glenn optimize the performance, not to worry about it. Now, that being said, new tech, new processors, new chips, will they make adjustments in the program to come to it later? Maybe. So one of the best questions I heard today came from Lemuel, which is like, now with all of that power, I wonder what Ken and Glenn will do with it.
Yes.
That's the better question.
Yeah.
So to answer Jim's question from before we started the stream, why do I need 64 gigs of unified memory? Because developers haven't even begun to develop for M1 yet. They started developing for the transition. They started developing for M1 with the 16 gig ceiling. They haven't started developing for M1 with a 64 gig ceiling. So a lot of the developers can take higher end things that they've had in their mind, but they just never put into the app because the app couldn't do it. So not foreshadowing, nobody say Doc said, okay? This is a for example. If there was a streaming company called Mooncheese that had you right now stuck at, say, 5 guests, and they wanted to open you up to, say, 20 guests, Now that the new machines on the market can handle it, maybe they can go into the development room and make room for more guests, knowing that you need one core per guest.
Okay.
This is Moon Cheese, not Ecamm. If anybody sends an email and says, Katie, Doc said that they're going to 20 guests, I will come to your house personally and beat you.
He didn't say it, y'all. That was Moon Cheese. All right.
Moon Cheese.
What other specs do you want to run down
I had a bag of Moon Cheese right here. This stuff is great, by the way.
So let's talk about ports because I think discussed that. What?
I was wrong. I will say it because Renee and I talk about this all the time. I get irritated at the people who come in and make all these predictions, and when they're absolutely wrong, they never come and say they were wrong. They say, "Oh, Apple did so and so." No, Apple didn't did. Jack, you was wrong. So I was wrong. I said the HDMI port will never come back. I am absolutely wrong. I will eat an Adidas over that.
It's right there, baby.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why it's fat and heavy again.
Yeah.
And it's dumb. Let me explain something to you real quick, because you mentioned it, and I just like to reframe people's horrible thinking. I prefer just the standard issue USB-C/Thunderbolt ports and dongles as opposed to the actual ports. Why? My dongle can be whatever the Moon Cheese I want it to be.
Yeah, it can be.
But when it's an HDMI port, it will only ever be an HDMI port, right? So if I want it to be a display port, that port's wasted, right? This monitor, that monitor, and the little monitor in the back, I bought all DisplayPort monitors. Why? Because I know DisplayPort is faster, it handles more information, it syncs better. I personally don't like using HDMI monitors unless I have to.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point. It's a very good point.
Now that port, it can only do HDMI. So when it's a standard issue USB-C/Thunderbolt 3/USB 4 port, it can be run my music thing. It can be Ethernet. It can be a coffee cup warmer. It can be a fan. It can be like that's really legit. So people have the dongle situation wrong because they're brainwashed by other complainers and they repeat the complaints as opposed to think it all the way through. So now instead of 4 USB-C/Thunderbolt 3/USB 4 ports, we have 3. So we lost one in favor of HDMI, which is eventually disappearing. DisplayPort is the more modern. That will be here longer.
But remember when we were talking about the muggles, right? So HDMI for muggles is definitely still a very big thing. And, when you say eventually when? Like it's, at least...
it's already dying.
Well, it is dying, but it's not dead yet, right? So,
when you make that a concession, this is all you needed. Like, this is nothing. This doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's tiny. You pop it in and it could be HDMI.
Dongles can be a pain in the booty, for sure, for a lot of people. But so I guess that's a personal preference thing, guys, right? But you make some really, really good points. I think dongles are a pain in the butt because everybody told everybody they're a pain in the butt, and now you believe that. But they really don't. They don't weigh anything. So how are these trouble for traveling? Like, it weighs nothing. Just
I know what it is.
Forgetfulness, right? Like if you forget one, or if you lose it.
If you can smoke as much of the 80s as I have and still have a flawless memory, I'm sorry.
All right. So next up that people are talking about in the comments, and if you guys have questions, we are going to tackle your questions here shortly. So put a Q in front of those questions if you're watching live. Now, that's actually a really good point because they're $50 and easy to lose. Like you're spending a whole lot more per dongle, right? So it is actually kind of.
If you guys are buying $50 dongles, I'm going to start making dongles because they're
Apple's dongles are expensive.
$39. We don't say expensive. Okay, next question. It's not 50, it's 39. That's $11.
They have some dongles that are 50. Last time I checked. But
I just bought this one.
Okay.
It's $39.
Okay, Doc. Okay.
This is an Apple one too, because I don't like cheap dongles.
All right. So wait, if you can't say expensive, why can you say cheap?
Huh?
If you can't say expensive, why can you say cheap?
cheap as in quality, as in built like a piece of crap, not as in price.
Fair enough. Yes, Gretchen, there is an SD card slot on this, the new ones. Okay.
That's another one too, because again, CFast cards are coming stronger and faster, and most of the ports on the computer are going to be SD slow, and what you're going to want is SD fast, because you're coming from a high format camera. So you're still going to buy an external SD reader, but it is nice to have it as a backup.
Yeah. All right. So next thing, let's talk about the Mac, the camera. So as you can see, they have lessened the border around the computer, around the screen, and because they did that, so you have much less of a border, which I like, but because of that, they had to give it the little frame here for the MacBook camera. At first, I was like, ah! And then I was like, wait a second. Actually, I like that. What are your thoughts?
It is in the same place as the menu bar. So nothing changed screen real estate wise. So everyone's going to freak out. The internet's going to go crazy. Renee will have to tell everybody they was wrong, but it's there. I'm going to say this point blank. The notch will be the excuse for people who don't have the money to buy, to say that Apple screwed up and then just make a big deal out of it, as opposed to buying what they probably really want. But it's an excuse not to buy. So it just becomes, Ben Gate and all these other random gates that aren't real are literally, people have to take shots at Apple because they're number one, like everyone's enjoying the Patriots losing left and right now because they've just been on top for so long. And yeah, the notch is literally just going to be an excuse. So I'll just say that.
I like the
exact same
notch.
Space. Me too. It's in the same space as the memory bar, and you can use Bartender or a couple other apps to not have your memory bar. Your menu bar go all the way across the screen.
But developers will also develop around that over time as well.
100%.
Yeah. Other than that, it'll look really weird for non. There'll be a big space in the menu. Really,
you can use a third-party app to make your menu black, so it just looks like a straight line. There you go. Biggie.
All right. Next up, the camera. Well, speaking of the camera, this is now 1080p. So they've upgraded the camera itself, a wider aperture 2.0. They say it's 2 times better in low light performance, and it's using computational video, which automatically enhances the video without you having to do anything. So from a streamer perspective, if you don't want to buy a webcam, if you don't want to buy a DSLR, an upgrade. What say you, Doc? Good enough?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes against my better judgment, because we're on your show. On my show, I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to buy a webcam, you don't want to buy a mirrorless or a DSLR, then don't start. You're in the way.
And I would say use what you got, right? If you're not ready for that investment, you've just spent a whole lot of money on this Mac. You can use your phone. You can use the onboard webcam. You can use whatever you've got. Obviously, webcam isn't the ideal, but now that it's 1080, it should be better.
Anything from an iPhone 8, okay, listen to this, people. Anything from an iPhone 8 forward is better than what's in any computer. So if you have an iPhone 8, which is 7 years ago, till now, you have a camera better than any computer camera. And the new cameras are dope, actually, because on my M1 iMac, it's amazing. But just this and camo and life is, gorgeous. Especially if you got a 13, because cinematic mode just looks amazeballs.
Right? Okay, so this has nothing to do with video creators or streamers, but the touch bar is gone. I just have to mention it because, yay. I don't use the touch bar. I actually kind of hate it. I don't know about you.
I used it religiously, so I will be sad that it's gone.
Really? Do you?
I'm adaptable. Oh yeah, I've always used it because Apple didn't put it there for no reason, and it's good for stuff, right?
Well, I'm sure it's good for stuff, but I don't look at the keyboard. I'm looking at the screen. That's why I don't use it. I'm never looking at the keyboard itself.
See, I look at the keyboard because I can't type. So let's just cover that. No, so again, I'm going to put touch bar hate into one of those categories that enough people said it, and many people repeat what other people say. say,
Sure.
rather than try to figure out how they could use it, right? From a DJ perspective, when I'm using Algorithm DJ or Serato, and I got the touch bar to do the
All right, fair enough.
Hey, it was gangster. From Final Cut perspective, it was gangster. So if you used it or you use Better Touch Tool or other apps to program it for macros and you put it to work, it was amazing. But if you read an article online that said the touch bar sucked and you adopted that touch bar suck, just the way people adopt their family's religion rather than go discover one for themselves,
right?
Your religion is hate touch bar. I think touch bar hate was overrated.
So yeah, a lot of people use it, but again, I don't do the things that it's really built for, so it doesn't really it's not for me. It's not built for me.
David. No, again, because if you never set it up to use it, then of course you hate it because it was wasting real estate. But had you actually set up to use it, you would have loved it because you could use it. You know all the people that say, I wish I had a Stream Deck?
Yeah.
You could have made Stream Deck in your touch bar for your streams.
Yeah, but I want the physical. You could have.
I understand.
But I don't stream from that computer either.
I understand that as well. But I'm just saying, like,
very good points though.
You can make the touch bar be anything you want. I have people that just use it to run their stock ticker in it, so they can, pay attention to their whole door to the moon.
Yes. All right. MagSafe is also back in the new models. I was just complaining about MagSafe yesterday, so I'm thrilled about that. But you guys, the one thing with MagSafe, if you are streaming from that computer, MagSafe comes out so easily that you need to make sure it is always plugged in. That's the downside of MagSafe, is that it will just disconnect super easily. So if you don't realize that it's disconnected because you tripped over a cord, then your stream could die in the middle of it, so beware, everybody.
Here's why I'm not happy about MagSafe.
What's that?
This is so funny, but so everybody that has the 2016 forward non-Mag, excuse me, 2015 forward non-MagSafe MacBook Pros. You know what you had when you had your charger in your bag? You had your MacBook charger, your iPhone charger, your iPad charger. Right. If you're a video person, your video lights charger, my Sony ZV-E10 charger, my Sony A7 III charger, anything with a USB-C, that charger was the charger. Now my MagSafe charger charges my notebook.
Yeah.
Now you can still use the ports to charge, so that's good. They didn't take that away. Right. So if you're like me and you have, I'm looking for my hyper charger so you guys can see the best charger money can buy. But if you use something like my hypercharger, where it is 100 watts on 3 USB-C ports, 18 watts on a USB-A port, plus you can plug something in the back, that charger, you can still use it to charge. So MagSafe is cute, but now you have a charger that can only do one thing.
But it'll also, so this fast charge, it'll take you to 50% in 30 minutes, which is quite useful for somebody like me who doesn't like to charge her devices. So it's not that I don't like to, it's just that I'm busy doing other things. So
I think the other charger will still do that, but we won't find that out until it's in flux.
Okay.
But I do believe the regular charger will do the same thing.
Okay, perfect. All right, battery life is 17 hours of battery life, so they've definitely increased that, and so depending on what you're doing, obviously that matters. It's not going to be 17 hours for everybody all the time. Anything you do. What are you rummaging around for?
This I wanted to show it. This is actually the smaller. This is the 65 watt. But these chargers are dope. I have both the 65 and the 100. So these are both 65 apiece plus 18, and you still have a jack in the front, right? So when you travel, I carry this and I carry the 100 watt, which is on this table somewhere. Same thing. It's just 3 of these instead of 1, but the most amazing charger in the world. And this is why I hate MagSafe. I don't hate it, but. Also, from the Genius Bar perspective, when I worked in the Genius Bar, the number one thing where people come in with screwed up computers not charging, people don't clean their MagSafe ports, and it is magnetic. So if you're rummaging around in your bag or you work somewhere where there's metal filings that come around, And believe it or not, an office that uses lots of paperclip has small metal filings that file all over the place, and they end up in your MagSafe charger, and then you run into problems, and you come to us and complain that we messed up. No, you ain't cleaning your port, player.
Well, it's as simple as even like, so I set my Mac in my car one time, right? And it had dirt on, like I set it on the floor and it had dirt, right? Because it's a car, and it filled with dirt. And then I was like, crap. So I had to take a, like Q-tip and like all kinds of things to clean that out. So it can cause problems like that.
Well, and here in Hawaii, the dirt is magnetic because of the volcano.
Yeah. That would not be fun all the time. All right. So kind of back to the question at hand that we asked right up at the top of this show. That's on my end. Sorry about that.
It reminds me of the Amesbury bell that we had at the Ecamm office that goes off at exactly 12, bruh.
That's me.
Super funny. Okay.
So we have the pricing, $19.99 and $24.99 at the base levels. So those are the prices on these two Macs. But back to the question, now that we've kind of gone through all of the things, is it worth upgrading? Hopefully by now you guys have made some personal decisions through this process of specs and deciding what you're going to do with it. But as a streamer, you want as much as you can get. So the things that we have a whole video on this, by the way, guys, but the things that you should be focusing on primarily when looking at upgrading, break it down, Doc.
So, the one thing is, most importantly, as always, get as much memory as your wallet can afford, because that's the future-proof move, right? Right now, everything runs amazingly on 8 gigs. Everything runs even more amazingly on 16 gigs. So on 32 and 64, it will run even more amazingly. So what? Whatever. That's it. But that's speaking of October 21. Right? What does October 22 look like, right? What if the new stuff, like apps are always upgrading, things are getting better. One thing that's often overlooked on M1 machines, you can run your iPad apps on there, right? You can run them extremely well, by the way. So how are you going to work it into your flow? So can you just buy a stock machine and go to town? Abso-freaking-lutely, right? Is the M1 Mac Mini still an amazing purchase at $800? Absolutely. $700 for the smaller one, 100%, right? So getting the extra bump in memory, if you can afford it, go for it. Where I would save money, depending on whether you're recording video or live video, if you're a live person, don't necessarily upgrade the drive. External drives are rocket fast and very inexpensive, and you can get like 2,700 megabits per second out of an external drive, right? The internal one would do 4,000, but unless you're doing 3 streams of 8K, who cares? Because 3 streams of 4K comes out to about 1,100 megabits per second. So don't tweak out over that. So yes, you can buy the baseline machine and be dope. Every piece of money you add to it is more or less for future proofing. But see, even then, I had to stop myself on this future-proofing idea because I'm selling it in 2 years anyway. So what exactly future am I proofing?
Well, and that's the question is, are you a person who is upgrading every 2 years, or are you like Tech in the City, who still has a 2013 Mac? So yes, and to answer your question, Tech in the City, go ahead and upgrade.
So let's fix that though, because as a business person, the reason, here's what's funny. As business people, the reason why we hold the machine that long is because it costs a lot when you purchase it, right? It's $3,600, right? And you want to get every dime you can get out of it for that $3,600, right? If you put that over a 3-year period, that's $100 a month, right? Which is absolutely nothing for any business. I don't care if you're selling popcorn, right? So if you put yourself in the mindset that I'm going to get rid of it every 2 years, that moves it to like $140 a month. But you never have to worry about problems from your machine. You're never in that third year where your machine's acting up and you're going, oh my God, my computer's being funny, blah, 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 blah. Or your competition has the faster stuff and they're going past you. So if you do a planned obsolescence, you're actually saving money in the long run, because right now, if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old machine, you are wasting money on a 2013. I don't give a what you're doing. If you're just typing letters, you're still wasting money on a 9-year-old machine, because a modern machine will do it faster, better, with some of the tools like automatic grammar correcting and all the above. And none of us are talking about word processing either. We're talking about tech-oriented work. So yeah, that thought doesn't match the modern movement now, because you can't do your lives, you can't do your social posts, you can't do, things like Descript where you're automatically, encoding your voice on the fly and turning it into text. I mean, there's so much things you're missing out on because you're telling yourself, I got to squeeze every drop out of a machine you bought 9 years ago. Like, that is bad business. In personal use, knock yourself out. Sure. But from a business standpoint, it's actually bad business.
Yeah. Agreed. Sammy Superstar question. Hold on, I'm having a hard time finding it. Okay, so asking about specs, essentially, but we've kind of covered that. So if you feel like you have other questions around specs, let us know. Aaron, very excited, but still the same issue. I want an external display that matches my iMac, 5K, 500 nits,
Super
and maybe...
simple.
Well, hold on, let me finish asking the question.
No, because I know the question.
Well, but the audience doesn't know.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And maybe even 120 hertz now. Okay, now you can answer it.
That easy. Buy a Pro XDR display.
There you go.
That's it.
Do you have a particular
that's the answer.
Recommendation?
Apple Pro XDR display. That is exactly what you're asking for.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. The one up here. Oh, where is it? I was looking to see if it actually says it on here when you're buying it.
No, it's the Apple external monitor that everybody complains about because it costs like $5,000.
I know. I was trying to find it. I can't.
What is at the very top of the Apple thing, and you scroll on Mac and you go across.
Oh, there we are.
And you'll
there
see
we are.
Pro
Okay.
XDR display.
That
is exactly what Aaron is asking for. No other manufacturer makes it. It doesn't exist. So if you want what you want, you got to be careful what you wish for.
And if you want to buy that one, we're looking at boom.
$5,000. BenQ has something that's close to it, and so does LG. But those monitors are all going to be around $3,000 to $4,000 because what you're asking for. The iMac, the closest thing to the iMac is the Dell 32U or 27U, and the LG equivalents. They're Thunderbolt monitors. They're very similar. But truth be told, everyone asked that question. That question's come out ever since the 5K iMacs come out, and the answer is the Apple display or the LG ultra-fine versions of the same. But if it costs less than $2,500, it ain't it. This point.
Thank you, Marcus, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Sorry, I didn't have the super chat activated, actually. Sorry about that. He wanted his dancing cow.
I don't need a Pro XDR display, but I definitely want one. Whoever said that it was a goal, I saw that come up in the chat. That's 100. Oh, Megan. Hey, Megan. Yes, me too. Just because they're absolutely gorgeous.
All right, so Homesick Mag says, so I'm streaming with 3 cameras into an OWC Thunderbolt dock. What should I get?
16 gig Mac Mini. Everything above that is above that.
That's your minimum. And if you're going to change it out in a couple of years, then keep that in mind. Moonlane, what do I need for live streams with overlays, animated graphics, and or screen shares in my live streams? Same answer, really. I mean, like
8 gig Mac Mini. She said 1 camera.
Oh,
she
one
did
camera.
it, but I'm assuming one. I'm assuming
they
one
did
camera.
not
If you want
say.
3 cameras, it's the same answer. 16 gig Mac Mini. Everything above it is gravy.
Let's see. Oh, Sammy wants to know if I'm going to get the new M1 Mag. Yeah, I'll be upgrading. I've been busy getting ready for the show, so I don't know which one I'm going to go for, but I'll be upgrading at some point soon. So, by the way, speaking of upgrading, at this point, if you have not, as we're shooting this live, if you have not ordered it, you are looking at least a December delivery date, if not already into January.
Unless you're getting a 14. 14s are still in November.
14s are still okay.
Yeah, and then
But nobody wants
Randall,
the 14s.
that's the monitor I was talking about, Randall. That's the one.
This one right here, the LG
Yes,
Ultrafine.
the LG Ultrafine 5K. That's the one. They're actually getting cheaper now, so not too bad. But
That's good.
That's the one.
That's what I like about giving things time. It always gets cheaper. Let's see. Victor, is the 14-inch Pro base model good enough? Yeah.
Yeah, the 8 gig Mac Mini is good enough. Of course, the 14.
Yeah. Is the base M1 Pro chip with an 8-core CPU just the same as a regular M1 chip, but with better graphics? JP wants to know.
100%. That's exactly what it is.
I'm sorry, Megan. I'm sorry. I said nobody wants the 14.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Because I was thinking the same thing too. Normally I do the dumb stuff of just hyper filling or whatever the 16 is. Me and Danny were talking about today.
Yeah.
But knowing that it will spend a metric, bad word, ton of time in clamshell mode, I will behave myself and get a 14.
Oh.
It will spend a lot of time in clamshell mode.
Yeah. If you're not going to, like me, then 16. But also, it's about how you carry it around.
Yourself.
What?
I say you're just convincing yourself.
No.
But that's what we all
No.
do. So I'm not mad at you for that.
I had, with the 13s and stuff, it takes a lot for me. I mean, no, 14 is not 13, but at the same time,
13 is too small.
13 is just too freaking small. I can't do it.
Even the Air, like as cute as the Air is and what it does and how
Right.
amazingly powerful it is, I just feel like, it's an iPhone with a keyboard, player. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, Paul's going for a 14 also. Uh-oh.
Thank you,
guys...
Paul. Now I feel better. Okay, because
Oh, shots fired. Paul Dixon.
Oh, dang, Paul. Come on, fam.
Wow.
No, honestly, the main reason why I went to 14 because it probably will get plugged to something like a 34-inch monitor the majority of the time, and that's the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm roading it, I just really want it to be, slap into the back of this Manfrotto, photography bag and move on.
Fair enough. Yeah, I have to point out Callie is like always trying to stuff her computer into her bag because she doesn't have a bag that's big enough for the computer that she has. And it's
Well, if she
hilarious
gets a
to
bag
watch.
that's big enough, she'll look like a turtle in the half shell. She's so small.
True.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Callie.
14-inch all day, 14-inch equals working through a keyhole. See, it all depends on you, right? And this is the key.
Oh, somebody had to do it. I knew it was coming.
It was Callie herself. And her question was, so are you agreeing the size does matter?
100%.
I believe size matters when it comes to this, for sure. Let's see. How will the notch look when going full screen on a video? Will it cut into the screen image?
I'm going to assume probably not, but...
I wouldn't think. I mean, come on. They wouldn't do that.
I mean, if you look at the picture, it's hard to tell from the picture, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the picture, like you can kind of... Oh, you got to go back. You can kind of see how the menu bar has a definitive line.
Thank you, Einar. Hey, hold on. I'm coming.
Scrolly.
There we go.
Right there. That one. You can kind of see how the menu bar... Dang it, Marcus.
Marcus likes to interrupt the show flow.
It's my my EU squad. They love doing that. It's hilarious to me. It cracks me up every time. But you can see how there's a definitive hard line right there. I'm assuming that they will make full screen cover that. No one's really going to know until they know. Here's the cool part about Apple. You order it now because you want to make sure you get what you get when you get it before it gets too far back. And then if that question comes up and it does leave a notch and you absolutely hate it, you got 14 days to give it back.
Exactly.
And I always laugh at how many people will be like, well, I want to wait and see if it does it. Well, if you wait, you're going to be waiting really long because of supply chain demands. So why not just do it now and know for a fact you can give it back without even a question? They
Absolutely.
won't even ask you why.
Wise choice. I have a mid 2013 Pro, starting a photography and video production business. What would you suggest for specs for a 14 Pro or Max?
Max. Okay, if you ever have to ask this question and your wallet can do the Max, there is no excuse to get a Pro ever. If your wallet wouldn't let you take the difference, then you got to get the Pro. But like it's not that the question bothers me, but I just want to say that question doesn't really make sense because of course the better one is better. There's no math in the world where the better one would not be better. So if the $400 difference doesn't hurt, then get the better one. If the $400 different one stops you from buying something else that you need to finish your flow, then get the Pro and use it to the best of your ability.
Boom. If you're like me and waited 9 years, just get the Max with 64 gigs. Let's see.
Yes.
Feel So Alive says, what is MagSafe? Sorry. So MagSafe is their magnetic adapter, power adapter that they had. When did they get rid of that? 3 years ago?
15.
Are you serious?
2015, yeah.
Where have I been? Really? 2015? They got rid of it?
2016 for sure, if I was
Okay.
off by 1 year. But yeah, for sure. When we went to all Thunderbolt jacks.
Yeah, wow, I can't believe it's been that long. So it's just a magnetic adapter. So if you trip over the cord, it just pops off. It doesn't like yank the computer down with you. I've been there, done that. Neil Christopher, I use Touch Bar for keynote lectures every day. What should I get or learn next? So if you're going to upgrade and you don't have the new Touch Bar, then what are some options that you would suggest?
Sorry, I'm laughing at Rich with a slightly inside joke.
Oh.
Thank you, Rich. I just want to say I love you, Rich. That was super funny.
I didn't see it. Wait.
He says the bigger the screen, the bigger I can make my cursor.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, I was sidetracked. What was the question again?
So if you're gonna upgrade and you use the Touch Bar for keynote lectures, you had mentioned, and I just want to clarify what those options, you had mentioned a third-party device, didn't you?
Yes, Stream Deck or Loop Deck or something like that can replace.
Oh,
it.
I thought you mentioned something else.
No, Better Touch Tool is a software that you use in order to beautify the Touch Bar and make it dope.
Sorry, I don't know if this fired. Super chat from Rob. Did that fire? Was anyone surprised there was a new Mac? There was no new Mac Mini announced. I wasn't.
I wasn't. I thought I was hoping for it, but me hoping for it doesn't mean that it's really fitting to happen. And I think I really need to put that in parentheses. If you don't understand what I just said, watch more Renee Ritchie.
Yes.
It's important. And I'm not just saying that because I love my Canadian friend. People keep hoping for stuff, and then when Apple don't do it, they have a conniption on the internet. That's not how Apple runs their business, bro. And if you want to get to that level, then start making your own computers. But I was hoping for a Mini Pro. But yeah, we just got to wait a while.
All right, so here's Renee's. So if you are interested in general kind of conversations around Apple anything, Renee Ritchie, definitely go subscribe to him. And he'll have updates about all of this stuff coming out over the
There'll be
this
3
week,
videos
for
today
sure.
of everything we said in much smarter terms.
Exactly.
Hey, but we're better looking, so never mind, Renee.
Oh, jeez. Let's see.
He's going to give me crap about that. Luckily, he's busy right now because normally he'd be in the chat with something wise to say.
If he wasn't busy, he'd be on the show right now. But
True story. True story.
Let's see. Sammy, I'm still going to use my Mac Mini as my main streaming machine, but do you think I should still get the maxed out MacBook Pro if I'm doing just basic things and maybe streaming on it, but not a lot? No, don't do that to yourself. Come on.
Yes, because he can afford it. See what I'm saying? Don't ask me to qualify your own stuff, because I would tell you I know for a fact he can afford it. So yeah, get it. And if not, then why ask that question? I mean, like, I'm trying to stop people from thinking things too hard.
Yeah.
Right. In theory, the advantage to it is no matter what you'll do it will do it better and faster. And to me, the most important commodity in the world will always be time. And I only say that now because I'm old and I'm on short on it. When I was younger, I would have said, oh yeah, let's get this cheap one, blah, 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 blah. But now I understand I was wrong for freaking 30 plus years. I know how important my time is. And all of these shortcuts you guys are taking, you know me, buy it right or buy it twice, you're wasting time. And a whole bunch of us have wasted time on dumb stuff trying to save, $100, and then find ourselves like knee deep in the project wishing you had bought the better one because you'd be done faster. And then so is what it is. I mean, you got to know you, and Luria told you already, you have to make those adjustments to yourself. But when you're making those adjustments to yourself, don't get so worried about that $100, $200, because you probably actually have it in your Starbucks bill. Think about your time, right? These Numa joints, right? Say M1s to now. These are 4x faster than your M1s. They're 5x faster than your Intels. So if something takes 50 minutes on your Intel, it's going to take 10 minutes here. That's what that means. So that means you could do it 5 more times.
Matters. Yeah.
Time is the most important one. So even if you can't do it today, if you have to sit on this for 3-4 months while you go make the different loot, then do that. And the other thing, for all of the people that say this kind of stuff and what they can and cannot do, I'm going to tell you, can you really not do it? Have you asked your neighbors, can you cut their grass or wash their car or paint their house or do the honeydew stuff that they don't want to do? Because I guarantee you can do that type of work easily.
There's always a way to make money. That's for
People
sure.
will pay you to do that stuff, right? Some of y'all can watch somebody else's bad kids for a couple of nights and cover some of the difference in the cost. So I'm just saying, like, people will come up with excuses not to do stuff, but is that the real excuse? Dig deep and ask yourself, is the purchase of this piece of equipment the real excuse or not the real excuse? Because we have people in the community who have the means to buy everything and have bought everything and still ain't streaming.
Yes, that's a really good point, because action matters, right? It's all about action.
Yes.
Thank you, Marcus, for the super chat. No, you're fine.
I had a Shaba ranks kicked in all of a sudden.
I don't think Apple has. When was the last time Apple released products with no announcement or without us knowing what? That's been a very long time.
Oh no, they've released every year. They release something. They just slip it in, and it's on.
Well, but with no announcement whatsoever, like just
no,
boosh.
that doesn't happen. Like there's always something, but there's not always an event though. Yeah.
Troy, to your knowledge, does the 8 gig Mac Mini run Ecamm with no issues, including bringing in interviews without taxing the system?
Sorry, I gotta read this again because Dan messing me up with his stupid Michigan hate. Okay. Yes, 100%. To my knowledge, of course, I work there. Yes, all day, every day. Let's put it this way, Troy. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. There'll be a live stream tomorrow from our developers, Ken and Glenn. But I think we are at something like 40, somewhere between 40 and 55% M1 saturation in the group. Like almost everybody using Ecamm right now has an M1 Mini or M1 of something. So an 8 gig M1 Mini runs Ecamm all day, every day, 4-day conference, another 4-day conference, all of this stuff. Like, yeah, all day, every day.
Speaking of tomorrow, I will be live at some point. Hold on, I forgot what time.
Yeah, you and I both.
I think I'm live.
Stop talking. Man, it's none of my business.
Why
does he have McAllen 12 on the desk? Because y'all people be asking me crazy questions.
for a special stream tomorrow morning, and then yeah, you'll be hearing from Glenn and Ken as well on the Ecamm channels. And we're moving on. The Politics Show. Craig mentioned native object tracking in FCPX. When did that happen? I don't know.
2 updates ago.
Okay.
But yeah. Hey, Alex, by the way, how you doing? That was Alex that asked that question.
9 a.m. Pacific is what I'm being told. I'm live tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. So special stream. We don't normally stream. I don't normally stream on Tuesdays. So, okay. I'm scrolling. Having
What's
10.
a TC?
What?
What's a TC?
What's a TC?
Michael
my
Short
old
said, what's a TC?
That's a PC. PC? Did you mean
maybe
PC?
No, the P and the T are so far away on the keyboard.
Very far apart.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a brand name for a PC that's TC.
Toshiba?
No, I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay, we'll wait for Michael.
He meant PC. It's confirmed that he meant PC.
Oh my goodness, they're so far away on the keyboard. What are you doing?
How did you do that?
Michael's fingers is like this, bro. He's throwing gang signs. Normal video editing work, either or. Because I'll tell you what, there's not a video on the channel that came out since last October that wasn't edited on the M1 Mac Mini. Not a single video. And you guys know I crank out a metric ton of videos. They were all edited on M1. So either of the above will do good. Of course, the Macs will do better. Now, what was the question before? Sorry, Michael's question sidetracked me.
I don't remember if we missed your question too. Or stopped it.
It was good. My ADD just kicked in.
I don't remember.
Oh, it's the 1080 question. It was a 1080.
Oh, yeah, right. Hold on. I scrolled down. Okay. Having 1080p built-in camera outweighs the notch, which I most likely will ignore as it blends into the menu bar.
Okay, thank you, Robert. I don't speak 1080. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Here's a good question. What's the external monitor support? I have 4 external monitors hooked up to my 16-inch Intel now. They showed for...
I covered this, but I'll say it
again. Yeah, I know. Some
Pro,
people join late in live, unfortunately.
Say it. On Pro, you can get 2 XDR displays, which is basically 6K. You can get 2 6K 6K XDR displays on Pro and 3 on Max. That's including the one that's built in. So technically it's 3 and 4.
Sorry, I got distracted.
And we haven't even talked about adding display ports because Apple never talks about adding display port. Not display port, display link. With display link, you can add another 6. So in theory, you could have 10 displays.
Whoa. Talk about mission control.
Mm-hmm.
How many gigahertz is the M1 Max?
Gigahertz is old thinking. That has nothing to do with us. That's
I was like, wait, what?
We don't speak that anymore. That's old language. And this is a very good question, though. By the way, very, very, very good question, John. And this was difficult last year, and then so if you ignored all the M1 stuff last year, then it understands why you asked the question. But this is super hard for people because two things, John. Last year, this messed people up because they didn't know what to do because gigahertz number irrelevant now. And also the memory numbers are irrelevant now. Before, if I told you, you can do everything in the planet in a 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch by 1 inch machine with 8 cores and 16 gigs of RAM, you would be like, Doc, it's the 80s and you smoking that stuff again. But I have done nothing to harm this machine. I have thrown dumb stuff at it, like Final Cut and Audition open at the same time, live editing a mix with basically 4 lanes of 4K, and this machine don't even fart, right? And the machines they announced today are like 3x better than this. So I know it's difficult. Renee, again, we keep saying that man's name. He's going to pop up. He has an excellent video on the chat from about 6 months ago where he's breaking down like why the M1 is so different and why Intel doesn't know what to do with themselves, because Apple just did stuff that nobody thought was possible. This is the equivalent for us old people of when we broke the 4-minute mile. Like, it was, a human can't do a 4-minute mile. That's
No
in blah, blah, blah,
way.
blah. And then Roger was like, hold my beer. And then now it's normal.
Yeah.
Back then, because nobody thought it could be done, nobody tried it. And then Roger just punched that right in the wedding vegetables. And now, like, women do it, you know? But back in the day, it was unheard of. No, it's a true story. Like, what?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Max. I was like, wait, what?
No, I'm talking about like breaking
records.
What happens is we have mental barriers on stuff because of what we're told by everybody and what's possible, right?
Yeah.
So even the iPhone itself was a proof of a break of a mental barrier. So when we have a gigantic technological leap, those gigantic technological leaps is because some forward-thinking person broke the mental barrier.
Yeah.
And once the mental barrier is broken, it becomes common and nobody even remembers that it didn't exist before.
Totally. Why 10 displays? Do you have insect eyes? Well, you got to have email on one display. You got to have Ecamm on another display. You got to have.
Oh,
Just
trust me.
joking.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now.
Yeah.
Plus my iPads make 6. So, yeah.
Display versus HDMI, and does 2 monitors and 1 port work?
No, you should never do 2 monitors in 1 port ever. And Display Link is way better than HDMI as discussed. But hey, they put the HDMI port because enough people complained about it. So they listened. They didn't listen to me. They listened to y'all.
Of course not. Of course not, Doc.
I ain't worked there before like this. Ignore the ex-employees. But no, I you know, hey.
Whatever.
It's really good for coming in and connecting it to a TV to watch Apple TV stuff. And I think that's probably the primary reason, believe it or not. Because I do that a lot at the mother-in-law's house because she don't have an Apple TV, the box, but we want to watch Ted Lasso, right? So to be able to just take my notebook and then plug it directly in. Now I use the USB-C to HDMI, but just to plug it in for us to watch Ted Lasso, like, so I get it. Like, it's really, and it's good for hoteling.
Yeah.
Like, plug your machine in at the telly. Oh, just the best, like, because nothing's good on the TV and the telly. That's a hotel for you non-cool people.
The only thing good at a hotel TV is the
menu to
Forensic
order
Files.
food. Oh yes, Forensic Files is legit, bro. I don't know why I like that show, and I never watch it at home, but I watch it in a hotel where you might get stabbed.
Right, exactly. Like the worst place ever to watch it. And you binge watch Forensic Files because I don't know why nobody else does this, but they put the ending right together with the next video. They don't put a commercial break in the same in between, so you have to keep watching. It's brilliant.
It's genius. It's genius. That is so funny. Okay, I thought I was the only person, and the fact that you do that and you're not even the pop culture queen, that cracks me up because yes, I will absorb. Hey, what was that?
That was Abs.
I can't
Moving
say.
around over there. All right, you guys. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. Well, in an hour. I guess that's not a short amount of time. But I hope that this has been super helpful for you to understand what matters in terms of these new Macs with your streaming and video needs. So if you have questions, continue to ask. By the way, we never mentioned our poll. 86% of people have not purchased the new M1 yet. Max, 10%, and M1 Pro, 3%. So interesting little stat there. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Doc, thank you so much for helping me break all of this down and talk through all of the different scenarios. What?
It's a lot. It's a lot. We will be discussing this for probably the next week or two.
Yeah.
It's going to come up a lot. But people, just do yourself a favor and take your time and put some thought into it. And I'm going to say this, and sounds super funny because I just got finished telling you all of this stuff, and so did LP. Take everything that both of us said with a grain of salt. You kind of sort of need to make your own decisions on this type of stuff, because what you don't want to have is you go out and overbuy, right? You buy a bunch of stuff that you can't put into fruition, and then you're blaming someone else for what you did. You know what I'm saying? So I think
don't blame
it's
us, is what he's saying.
no. I just got a thing like, oh, I sold my A10 Mini and got a bunch of Cam Links because you said that you didn't like them. And I'm like, yeah, but that's your call. Don't blame me.
Right.
But the person was really mad. It's like, no, I don't like it because I think it takes away the power of Ecamm. We could do all of the stuff the A10 Mini can do directly with an Ecamm. But if you needed it, then you should have kept it. But he was literally sending me a hate message.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm not in charge of your wallet. And I mean, you want to fight over it, it's not a good job for you, but
I would say I would say that's always the case with anything, piece of advice, not just tech related, but any piece of advice. You ask a whole bunch of people, right? And you get the information in, and then you sort that information. You know how we have filters and sort capabilities and spreadsheets and stuff? That's what you got to do. You got to set up your own sort filters.
You got to sort filter. And well, of course, because your mileage will always vary, and you know where you are in your creation journey. But I also would like to warn people, don't sell yourself short too. Right? Don't set yourself up. Don't rehearse your failure. This was a stream I did on Saturday. I've spoken this for like an hour. Don't rehearse your failure. Like, don't set yourself up because you think you cannot do X. Because if you believe you can't, you are 110% right.
Yes.
Hey, Dan? What's up, Dan?
And a dog. Back door. Come join us tomorrow while we're live to ask those questions. We're kind of staying focused on the Mac stuff today. So, all right. Thank you guys so much, everybody. Enjoy your new Macs, those of you who have bought it, and enjoy whatever you have if you're not going to buy it. All right. You ready to dance this baby out, Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah, huh? He's like, no. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you right here on the Ecamm channels and live streaming pros tomorrow, right at 9 a.m. Pacific. Bye.
Go